Hello once again, Niner Faithful, and welcome back to another episode of 49ers Playbook on the channel that's trying to answer the whys and hows of the game. And we're back to our normal format. This past Thursday, the 49ers were able to get a huge win over the Seattle Seahawks and jump into first place in the NFC West, as they own the tiebreaker over Seattle. It was a big win with a bunch of great plays by the offense and defense to go over. So let's jump to the film and see how the 49ers were able to come out of Seattle with a win. You're watching Johnny Dell's Football Academy. First, I want to say a big thank you to all of our members of JFA49.com. Your support is very much appreciated. Making content like this is getting harder, and your direct support is huge. We'd love to get 100 members by November, but we need your help. We have a ways to go. If you've enjoyed this content and would like to support the channel, there's a link in the description below. But the defense played much better in a number of ways in the game. I'm not too worried about the final score. The defense was absolutely gassed by the end of the game, coming off a short week and trying to force the Seahawks to run as many plays as possible in the final 6.5 minutes or so. And it still took a controversial non-OPI on fourth down for the Seahawks to score 24, even after getting a kickoff return for a touchdown. That's a lot, but we have to put the game in perspective. Here's the opening play, and we were much more sound in our run defense than we'd been. So I know the initial reaction is the Seahawks O-line hasn't been good. Well, the Rams were down a ton of guys on their offensive line, but had a lot more success on the same plays. The difference was defensive execution. This was a play we struggled defending against the Rams. The duo run. It's like an inside zone, but emphasizes vertical movement from the offensive line. You're going to get 3 double teams looking to push vertical and then peel off to the second level. Note, the 49ers are in a 2-deep defense, trying to take away the pass. Against the duo, your defensive line has to eat up those double team blocks. Walker will have a read to either the A-gap or the C-gap. At the snap, first notice how Nick Bosa allows Campbell to be aggressive and fill quickly and occupies both tight ends. Collins and Givens are also able to occupy both combo blocks initially. So with Fred Warner able to step up, Walker wants to go to the C-gap, but Campbell is filled. When he tries to get back to the A-gap, Collins is able to disengage and make the stop for only a 1-yard gain on the play. That's a lot better than we defended this same play against the Rams. The Seahawks do move the ball well on their first drive, but we get the first turnover of the game and the first career interception by Malik Mustafa, and this is such a good job by both rookies. So with Seattle, you have to pay attention to a lot of what they do and information they gather pre-snap. They start out with a bunch to the boundary side and Metcalf isolated to the field side. They're asking the question, how is San Francisco going to match up against Metcalf with Mooney Ward out when he's isolated on the wide side of the field? They get their answer with Lenore, who's normally a slot player in nickel. They then shift, and Geno knows he's going to have all-pro wideout Tyler Lockett on the rookie making his first start, Renardo Green. They're going to have Lockett running a high crossing route, with the tight end, who Isaac Yiadom is covering, help on Bosa, then run an under return route. This is to isolate Green on Lockett running across the field when he'll be playing with outside leverage as he's got middle help. Renardo Green was so good in this game. They're coming with a switch release by Smith and Jigba to try and create interference for Green as well. Watch him read the inside release and attack flat underneath Jair Brown and avoid the interference while also closing the distance to Lockett, and he's right in Lockett's hip pocket through the stem. Lockett can feel Green right there, so he's going to try and run away from him, while Geno, being under pressure from Bosa, is trying to throw this route as it's drawn, which is at an angle down the field. Even if Geno had thrown this to where Lockett ran to, Green probably picks this off. This is such a good job by Renardo Green, and Mustafa shows off his range to go get this pick. On offense, we get the first drive going with a big third down conversion. So the Seahawks are showing cover 2 zone pre-snap. We have Ayuk on a through route, and then Jennings and Debo are running a choice concept with a rub corner paired with a choice route. At the snap, you'll see the Seahawks are running a pattern matching man coverage with back out by the linebackers. First, this is again some of the issues with the offense. The timing just isn't there on Debo and Jennings' route, and they run into each other, disrupting the timing. Purdy wants Ayuk over the middle, but with a linebacker in the lane and the disruption of the choice, he's going to take off and pick it up with his legs. And the rumor is Jerome Baker is still in that same spot, trying to figure out how Brock Purdy got away from him. We then get an explosive in the run game. The Seahawks are coming with a really wide alignment. They're trying to contain the edge on these wide zone plays. The key for the offense with the edges so wide will be, can Pooney and Banks get up on the linebackers? They do get up on the linebackers and create a nice lane for Mason. And that's getting what it's blocked for, but running through tackles is getting more than it's blocked for, and it's a big explosive. The offense is still having some red zone issues though. First, we start out by motioning Juice out wide, and with a linebacker following him, confirms man coverage. We're going to try and run a pick play for Debo. I saw a lot of comments during the game how this was just Shanahan going to the end zone fade, but that's not what this is. Debo is lined up inside, and we're trying to run Kittle on a short curl, with Jennings running what Shanahan calls a Skinner route, which is a 10-yard post route that will give a little shake at the top. Versus zone, you have a vertical stretch. Versus man, this creates interference for Debo on a rail route. The timing of this versus man is off though. Ideally, you want this so that Kittle forces Debo's man to go underneath, and if he goes over the top, that Jennings' route forces him to go way over the top. Instead, the spacing isn't quite right versus man, and he's able to sift through. And this route should be wide open with the interference, but instead it's a tight throw. It wasn't just a line it up and throw the fade though. Back on defense, we get a third down stop, and it's a good mix of coverage and pass rush. So we're going to be in a form of cover 6. Cover 6 is cover 4 plus cover 2, hence cover 6. Where it's a different form is on the cover 4 side, we're going to be in a man matching coverage with Yadam and Campbell, with Jair Brown playing as a tricks quarter safety, cross keying to the 3 receiver side. Then the other side is in cover 2 zone. The Seahawks are running Metcalf on a chains route, and then have a double dig concept on the other side. As Geno drops back, he sees Warner and Lenore gain depth and doesn't like the double dig. It'll look like the second dig breaks open late in the play, but that's due to the throw of the ball. Lenore had his eyes to attack it the whole way. So Geno moves to Metcalf on the chains route. It's important to note, Geno was forced to a third hitch. That allowed the pass rush time to get home. With the added time, it allowed Bosa and Collins to win their rushes and force a bad throw into tight coverage. That is the marriage of good coverage and good pass rush. The coverage forces Geno to his third hitch, the pass rush gets home and forces a bad throw. Geno should be leading Metcalf back to him a little bit for a throw that ends right at the line to gain. Instead, it's inside and a little into coverage where Metcalf alligator arms it. The offense wasn't able to score on the next drive, but the defense got them the ball right back, and I want to highlight 2 big plays. It's 2nd and 8, and we're again going to highlight Renardo Green. The Seahawks are trying to run an inside zone this time, which is like the duo but will now emphasize horizontal movement. I'll talk about the front from the end zone, but from the all-22 I really like Green here. Green is in man coverage on Metcalf, but also the force defender. It's a tough job. He has to cover DK in man, but also keep eyes to rally in run support to any run outside. With the inside zone, Metcalf wants to get up on Mustafa, because they're okay with Green being the unblocked man, because the run is inside and Green is outside force. Bernardo gets physical with Metcalf at the line, but watch his helmet. He's got eyes to the backfield to read for run. So he's engaging Metcalf, knowing that with the inside run, Mustafa is going to have run support. But once the running back decides to bounce outside because of the strong interior defense, Green disengages and rallies to make a stop short of the first down. And that's a really nice play by the young guy. From the end zone, we're going to see why the running back bounced it outside. Evan Anderson and Kevin Givens were able to eat up the double teams, with Anderson then pursuing backside and squeezing the gap once he was one-on-one, and Givens occupying both linemen allowed Campbell to fill his gap. Then the Seahawks are going to try a middle screen to get the first down and watch Fred Warner read it, diagnose it, split the blockers, and make the stop short of the first down. Then, after the defensive stop, we get an explosive to Debo for a 76-yard score. So there's been some discussion about this play on social media and the throw. Let's walk through this and I'll get into some details. First, we have to talk about what McDonald will do in some coverages to understand what's going on here. So the play going the way it does makes this a little muddy, but they're running something McDonald runs, in which is a matching cover 2. So this will have elements that look like man because they're playing with man match principles. That's important to understand why the play ends up the way it does and the details. We have Debo lined up inside Ayuk, and we're running a staple play, the drift concept. Normally Debo's route would be a deep comeback route, but on the drift play, it's a fade versus 2 zone, which matching cover 2 is, so Debo will run a fade. Ayuk is running the drift route, which is a 6-step in route, and it's off run action. It's important to note that because Debo was lined up inside of Ayuk, Ayuk will be the one that is matched by the outside corner. We execute the run fake, and Purdy is initially looking to Ayuk as the number 1 on the drift. He sees Dodson has dropped into the throwing window, and that's what draws Jordan Love. With the deep half safety inside, Purdy has eyes to the safety, sees the match, and then because of the pressure is going to reset his feet and find Debo down the sideline. And with Love having to try and recover, he isn't able to get to the ball in time, and it's a huge explosive. Back on offense, again, we're going to get the offense going with the same play, albeit without the outside deep route this time. This is drift again. This time you have Debo with a streak. So you can see Purdy is reading this play. This isn't turn around and guess. We have the run fake. This time Dodson attacks the run action, and you have Ayuk break open on the drift route, and Purdy doesn't hesitate, and you get a nice gain. The drive did bog down in the red zone once again though, which all the red zone plays is something I'm going to get into this week with a special episode on my members website, jfa49.com. And the link is in the description below where you can become a member to get access. The 49ers defense did have a very underappreciated goal line stand right before the half though. After a pass interference penalty by Yadam, the Seahawks had goal to go from the 1-yard line and weren't able to get it in the end zone. First, the Seahawks know we're going to be in man coverage and are trying to work their own interference plays. Here, they're going to make this look like a slant, flat, or dragon, but have Lockett on a sluggo or slant and go. So he'll break inside like a slant, then once he clears the interference, he'll work upfield. The play is there, but Fred Warner was able to track Geno's eyes and flashes into the throwing lane. From the broadcast, this play looked like it was just a miss by Geno, but from the end zone, you can see Geno was trying to get this ball over Fred Warner, and it's what causes the ball to sail. And Fred knew he nearly had the pick. Next, they're going to try a slant flat again, this time with no sluggo. Metcalf does win against Green, but Jair Brown is sitting on the inside route. Geno tries to go to the outside route, but great out-of-phase work by Deommodore Lenoir to strike through the hands of the receiver and force the incomplete pass. So lastly, they're going to try and go after the rookie in man coverage. They have a late motion into a bunch, which puts Green on Metcalf, and we'll have a switch release to a corner route to try and create rub action to free Metcalf. Green got physical at the stem. Contact is allowed within the first 5 yards, and he didn't grab. It's almost a great play by Metcalf, but it's a game of inches, or in this case, a couple toes. After halftime, we get the drive going with an explosive to Kittle. Sometimes on busts like this, it's hardest to tell exactly what happened. So we're going to run Ayuk on a clear route down the seam, Debo on a deep in or dig, or what Kyle calls a dover. Then Kittle is going to chip, then release, look like he's running a short route over the middle, then run a corner route. Purdy looks down the middle to Debo, and it's covered, and the outside corner has matched Debo on the dover route, and the safety's in a bail to pick up a potential post from Ayuk. Kittle is wide open on the outside for a big gain. And next, we are able to get past some red zone struggles and score a touchdown to George Kittle. So first thing we have to understand is Kittle is going to be the number 3 in the progression on this play. We're going to bring Jennings in motion as a coverage check, which confirms zone coverage. With 2 deep safeties, this is cover 2 zone. We're going to run a variation on a rub concept, which would normally have Kittle on a corner route, but against 2 zone will be a scout route or a 10-yard out route. We have Debo on a rub under route. He's the number 1 in the progression. Then Jennings on a choice out China, the number 2. The idea is you're reading the 2 underneath zone defenders. If the inside hook player carries Kittle vertical, you hit Debo. If he doesn't and picks up Debo, then you look to Jennings first on a low-high read on the cloud defender. At the snap, you can see the mic shade over to pick up Debo. Purdy then sees the hook player looking to attack Jennings on his choice out China, and Purdy gives a little pump to Jennings, which draws the cloud, then puts the ball in the perfect location on the out to Kittle. And this is Purdy at his best. Fast processor, using the subtle details to move zone defenders, and delivering a ball with precision on time. But all the momentum the 49ers had completely evaporates and shifts when the Seahawks return a kickoff for a touchdown. Now, the 49ers did just sign this kicker on a short week, and I'm sure their number 1 concern was that the guy could put points on the board. But this is also a poor play from a practice squad safety called up due to injury. The Seahawks are going to double block right up the middle and leave Jalen Mahoney unblocked. I get that he wants to be aggressive, but this is as bad of a job of handling open field as it gets. The one place you can't let a guy go is right down the middle. The returner gives him a little foot and he's totally faked out. You gotta make this guy break down in some way and go east and west. You can't just let a guy run down the middle on you. And then Jalen Graham has an opportunity to make a tackle and he can't either. Again, another guy brought back in due to injury. These injuries have cascading effects. So back on offense, you just have poor execution that puts the offense way behind. We're trying to run a play-action pass, and Purdy makes a heck of a play to Brandon Ayuk, but it's wiped out due to a hold. This is tough for Brendel, but the Seahawks are coming with a run blitz on 2nd and long. Brendel does get surprised by the run blitz after the fake, but his grab is completely unnecessary. The run fake to Guerendo is that Isaac will pick up the extra blitzer inside out and then release, so even if Brendel hadn't been able to pick up Dodson, Guerendo would have. He doesn't because Brendel picks him up, and then he trips over Pooney's foot and pulls Dodson down, and what would be a first down deep in the Seahawks territory is now 2nd and 18. That is how you have momentum flip in a game really fast. And this is a situation that's hard to handle. The Seahawks identify the man coverage pre-snap and then shift so they'll get Tyler Lockett one-on-one with Yadam on a rail route. When Geno throws his ball, Yadam is in great coverage. They were just going to give their guy a chance and didn't have much to worry about against Yadam. From the end zone, though, we're going to see some of our pass rush issues. There's been a lot of new faces playing new stuff this year, as well as Collins and Floyd being new this year. We're running a double stunt that we've run a number of times over the years, but the timing and execution isn't there yet. Bosa is going to try and slant in. He wants to hook the right tackle's arm and pull him inside for Warner to loop around outside. And then Collins needs to attack the outside shoulder of the center, hook him, and pull him outside. Givens the same with the left guard, and then Floyd is going to attack the left tackle, get him to move vertical, and then loop around. Collins tries but isn't able to hook the outside arm of the center. Then Floyd, as he's breaking back in on the stunt, trips over Givens' foot, and the stunt is completely busted. On the other side, Forsyth got away with a hands to the face on Bosa, which prevented him from the hook on the right tackle, and the stunt there was busted. That's what gave Geno a perfectly clean pocket to throw from for an explosive that sets up Seattle for the score. Then back on defense after the offense had to punt, we do force a punt. I'd like to credit the 49ers here for the stop, but the right guard completely lost who he was supposed to block, and Kevin Givens makes one of the easiest plays of his career. Then on third down, what I really like is that Sorensen was able to adjust quickly between drives. So like we saw in the explosive to Lockett, they're going to check the defense pre-snap and see the 49ers in a zone look with Warner walked up and Winters isn't in any sort of alignment to the 4-strong side. So they're going to get in a play from the sideline and shift to it. Now the 49ers shift their defense, and you see Warner calling out the running back and Lenore traveling, giving a man coverage look. From there, the Seahawks are going to try and take a shot against Yadam again. They'll have DK Metcalf on a sluggo route or slant and go, the tight end on a rail route for switch verticals, and then Lockett and Njigba on a switch verticals concept. At the snap, though, you see them back out into cover 2 zone. You can see DK's sluggo attempt, but the deep safety takes it away. The other side is covered, and Warner is able to match the running back out of the backfield, giving the pass rush time to get home and force Geno to throw the ball away. Back on defense, after the offense sputtered again, Renardo Green is able to come up with his first career interception. So we're in cover 6 on the play, and the Seahawks are running a double dig concept, with the running back on a check and release. As Geno drops back, he's reading Fred Warner, sees him sitting on the first dig, and thinks he's going to have the second dig. And that's why this whole play goes the way it does. Since Fred has dropped down the middle, he wants to hit DK on the second dig. And when he starts looking that way, it draws Fred Warner, who's actually attacking the running back. But remember, Fred Warner is a tall guy. From Geno's spot right here, as he's looking down the throwing window, Fred is coming into the window, and you'll see it from the end zone. So Geno pulls it down for a second window throw. This is where Renardo Green is showing something special. He's an outside quarters corner, and once he reads Metcalf on the inbreaker, is hair on fire coming straight across the field, and Geno never sees him, and he runs this route down and undercuts it for the pick. This is such a great play by the young kid, but it started with Fred Warner, who really needs to be front runner for the Defensive Player of the Year. So after the pick, we're able to get another touchdown in the game. The Seahawks are playing a matching zone here in cover 2. We're going to have Ayuk on a lookie route, then an arches concept. Ayuk is number 1, then it's 1 to 2 outside in on the arches. And this is what you love about Purdy, though. He streamlines the process so well. At the snap, he sees the mic and knows Kittle, who really would be the number 3, would be open if the mic moves. And things close quick in the red zone. He gives a hard look to Ayuk on the lookie route and moves the mic and hits Kittle for the touchdown. Then we get Guerrero for a huge run to effectively seal the game. This is where being able to run to both sides becomes huge. We shift into a balanced set, and the Seahawks are in a balanced 5-man front with a nose tackle and double 5 and 7 techniques. They choose to bring a safety down to Trent Williams' side, and Dodson is aligned to that side. That means you have 4 defenders to the short side and 5 defenders to the wide side. We're running our wide zone, and this is blocking perfection. And Guerrero is seeing good things happen when you run this the right way. Purdy is able to get up on Baker. Because Guerendo's stuck with it, Dodson is filling backside, expecting the cutback. Then you see his speed completely surprise the safety, and he's off to the races to seal the game. Overall, it was a fantastic win for the 49ers in a truly must-win scenario. The team has a huge task next week against the team they lost the Super Bowl to, but if they keep on this same track, I like where they're headed. It is a tall order this week, but one we hope the 49ers can rise to. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to hit the notifications button to be alerted to when a video goes live. And if you'd like to support the channel in any way, I'll have links for that below. But until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and go Niners.